Samuel Park from Chino Hills. Is that right?
Yes, sir. California.
So, before we even get into introductions and all that fun stuff, it's Brokers and Brews. I hope you brought a brew. I know you're at your office.
I'm
It
actually, it's 2 o'clock here. I have my afternoon coffee.
Fair enough. It's 5 o'clock. You know the song, 5 o'clock
Yeah,
somewhere. 5 o'clock
exactly.
here in Michigan, my man. So I brought a Michigan's own Oberon. Cheers.
Cheers.
And so before we really go crazy, like tell us about you, your team. You said you're moving offices, and it sounds like you got a lot going on, and we're in the middle of a weird crisis that we'll talk
Yeah.
about. But tell us about Samuel Park and staff.
So I became an independent broker about 2 years ago. I started my own brokerage, Parker Real Estate. So my staff is my ad assistant, and then my sister is also my marketer.
Okay.
So we're a small team. I have two agents directly on my team who are on complete shutdown quarantine. They got family at home, and so I completely understand that. And one independent agent. Um, Other than that, it's just me. So I'm a working broker. So
Sure.
I'm actively doing deals. Um, yeah. So what's crazy is so we started building out a new office space with my new with this vision I had in mind of how I'm going the opposite way of where all the big box brokerages are going, where they're going. Everyone's going virtual, right? And so,
Yeah.
or they're going like remote offices and stuff like that. And so, I'm actually in the process of building out a one-stop shop real estate office where I have my vendor partners on one side, whereas I have space for my lenders, my title reps, my contractors, my designers. And so in one quarter of the office as well, I'm actually building out a uh, like an IKEA like a showroom.
Sure.
And I partnered with local businesses, tile shops, cabinet shops, and they're coming in donating some materials for me to showcase different styles and stuff like that. And so people that want to remodel, do some updating, have questions regarding whatever plumbing issues can come in, talk to my interior designer, decorator, talk to my contractor, lender questions, refinance questions. My lender partners are going to be there. Title issues, questions like that, they can come in and just drop by and just talk. Whatever it is, real estate, I want people to have resources right there. I might even bring in an insurance person so they can set up a space there as well. And so it's just kind of, and I'm kind of banking on this whole, actually, it's crazy because I have a feeling that I know we're going to get into this later, but
That's good.
once this epidemic is over,
Yeah.
I think people are going to crave the human interaction even more.
Yep.
And so I want my space to be where everyone goes, where everyone's worried about, whether they're worried about, hey, what's going on with the housing market, right? What's going on with my house pricing, or what can I do here? And then they can come in and just kind of pick everyone's brains at the same time, and just I'm building a space where I can get the community together and feel like they can come in and just hang around. Like we're building some spaces in there where like we have porch swings, like little lounge areas, game rooms, and stuff like that. So people just come in and hang out and
How
talk
big?
about
How big's
things.
the overall space?
So the overall space is 4,400 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good size. And it's in a retail space, right? So I'm right in front of a Home Depot. Um, it's crazy because when people hear the vision, right? It's just me and two other people. Me and my team is three people, and we're building out a 4,400 square foot space. And just putting the pieces together, and we're still working through everything right now, right? Because I want it to be ready, once we're ready to hit once they release everything, I want to hit the floor running. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So tell us, because I'm in Michigan. So
yeah,
the only time I think I've heard the word Chino was in a Snoop Dogg song.
yeah,
Said he had a house on the hills or next to Chino.
exactly, yeah.
So is that Chino? And tell me where Chino really is. Tell us where you're at, and then obviously, let's jump in, man. Like, what has this COVID-19 really been like for your area, your market, all that stuff?
Gotcha. So Chino Hills is where I'm at. The Ball brothers also live here. The Lakers, well
Yep.
now Pelicans, right? We're really Southern California. there's three counties here: LA County, Orange County, San Bernardino County. We're at the cross point of all three counties. Is Chino
Okay.
Hills, so it's ideally located. Um, it's a great area. I mean, it's flourished in the last 19 years since I've been here. It used to be cow country. You wake up every day, you smell the cows, you see the cows, but now all you see is three-story. They're building like KV's coming here, and they just, they're just building a ton of houses, right? Because it's just such a popular destination now. So one thing I guess that what's different for my market is, so I mean, we're slower to catch on here with the fear. I mean, even now, everyone in the community, there's people just walking around exercising,
Yeah.
and then there's other people in the community that are, you know, it's just a big divide. This is what I see in my community: is there's
Sure.
people always complaining about other people, and then there's other people telling people they're being too fearful, right? So
Yep.
I'm kind of just I do my thing. I'm not judging anybody else, but what I've done is I try to set my right. We pivot. We started pivoting, and we started reaching out to our buyers and our sellers, and we're having to sell and buy, and so we kind of educated them on the process, and so I've been active, man. We've been super active. My buyers have been very. I still have buyers that show up and they're not, I tell them what they need to do, right? But they're just, I mean, it's masks, gloves. I bring my Lysol. I bring everything I can, of course. But then there's the buyers that are not buying into this whole fear. And so they just, I mean, they're actively searching, right? They're actively looking. I have sellers doing the same thing. And so I'm just trying to find a balance where I know I need to be aware of all like the rules and regulations and be safe. And so I'm taking all the precautions, right? But I mean, we haven't slowed down. And you know what I think it is because a lot of realtors are staying home as well
Yeah.
through this whole thing. But for us, it's a choice, right? Um, they recommend that we do virtual tours,
Sure.
but now we have a form called the PEAD. I forgot what it stands for, but it's pretty much the coronavirus addendum saying, hey, if you're going to access this house for a tour, be aware of, make sure you're taking care of all the precautions and you're staying 6 feet apart and stuff like that. And we send it over to the agents, which gives us access to the property now because that's another disclosure we have to sign,
So like
right?
right now, you if I was in your market and I want to see your property before I can actually schedule that, I need to sign that form.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And my clients probably too, right?
Yes, your clients have to sign it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, but it's one signature, is one page,
Sure.
simple disclosure. But there's a lot of buyers agents that are still not, they're not aware,
Hmm.
right? Because the education still hasn't gone around. And so they're still just trying to show houses. Listing agents still aren't requiring it on the MLS, but it's a disclosure that you need,
And I
right?
don't want to get you into trouble, but I mean, do you think that people are not requiring it intentionally? Like, are they just, is it ignorance or is it like, I
I
don't
think they
want to,
don't know.
what's that?
I think they don't know
Okay.
because we weren't even notified about it either, and I started noticing it more and more. And then I dug deep, and then we realized, hey, this form is required,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it's lack of probably the training from the brokerages to their agents, and then it also could be that it's hard for brokers to connect to other agents right now, right? Because you can email and text all your agents saying, hey, by the way, this is required, right? Or have Zoom staff meetings,
Yep.
right? Or office meetings. But if your agents aren't, obviously jumping on, they're not going to be aware, like, hey, these forms are required, right?
Yeah.
So,
Because, here, so I don't know how much you're hearing, but our governor is making national news.
yeah,
Um, and only if you watch one network, but she's on there no matter what.
yeah,
And with that being said, so we issued our stay-at-home order, like many places did,
yeah,
and ours was pretty strict. And it
yeah.
started on March 23rd. And
Okay.
in there, of course, we deemed people essential and non-essential, and real estate was considered non-essential.
Yeah.
So we weren't supposed to do anything outside of the home. And
Mhm.
kind of like you said, for a while it was like I think there was just people just didn't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's as recent as this week. I asked about a virtual tour on a home, and the response was that it's vacant, so we could schedule a showing, and the seller would even meet the buyer. And
Wow.
I said, well, here's, I don't think that we can do that, but they have made some changes. Let me just double check.
Yeah.
And then I sent it and said, here it is, number 16. And basically, it even is preventing for sale by owners from occurring right now. No
Yeah.
seller shall allow a buyer into a property, period.
Yeah.
That's just the way, that's the rule.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'll have to talk to my broker. They've been saying it's okay for vacancy. And, you know, her particular brokerage is not necessarily huge, but they're part of a big name.
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's just a matter of there's so much information coming all the time that I refuse to believe that her broker is intentionally breaking rules
Yeah.
and saying don't do this. I think it's a misunderstanding that maybe started back on March 23rd, and
Yeah.
even though we're here a little over a month later, no one actually is paying attention to all the changes. The only change we're going to pay attention to is when you open it completely back up. You know,
Yeah. Okay.
so definitely different, but
Are
similar in the sense of
you
people.
guys you guys can only obviously the market is different and how we process transactions are different as well, right? You guys go through an escrow and or
We
you guys
do, but we don't call it the same. Like it is going into escrow, but like essentially what happens is you and I, our clients, we agree and sign purchase agreements, and then that goes to title company,
yeah.
and we really just call it like under contract or pending, and
Okay.
it is in escrow. But the only thing that's in escrow is a fairly small, earnest money deposit,
Like okay.
and that's it.
Uh,
There's nothing major, and there's a lot of ways to get that money deposit back.
yeah.
So
And it's are you guys seeing I mean, are you guys still closing like there's still closings and stuff like that, but everything's being done virtually. So the buyers are absolutely not being able to see the house physically at all.
yeah, so the buyer doesn't see the home when they put their offer in.
Okay.
They essentially have an opportunity to come at part of the inspection. So
Okay.
an inspector is considered essential because they realize they're really part of the financial business of a transaction.
Yeah.
And and even in a for sale by owner scenario, you'd probably have an inspection.
Gotcha.
And so the inspector and the appraiser are considered essential. They can work if they want to,
Gotcha.
and therefore the buyer can come if the seller and the inspector say it's okay.
Okay.
So they're just mostly coming at the last maybe 15 or 30 minutes of the inspection,
Yeah.
and that's their first time and only time seeing the home in person until closing
Gotcha.
day.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we're doing a lot virtually though, and we are still closing. In fact,
Yeah.
my title people are slammed from the refis that started a little over a month
Yeah.
ago
Yeah.
to the purchases that continue to happen. I lost a multiple offer scenario last week, 4 offers on a house that just hit the market, and the only way you could see it was a seller-driven YouTube video.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing
That's,
professional about it. I mean, it was great. They did a great job. I'm not
yeah.
knocking it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I mean, no professional cameras, no professional lighting, nothing. Just holding your phone and walking through the house.
And that's where a lot of agents are doing the virtual tours now because I mean it's more most cost effective and you're able to explain the house as you're walking through it. It's almost like you're trying to show a client, right, as you're walking through the house.
Right.
I mean, we're seeing multiple offer situations. It depends on the house too, right? If it's turnkey, ready to go, price right, because there's such lack of inventory, and so all the buyers are going after the right one. And I think it's just knowing your market. Like I had a client text me last night saying, "Hey, he was listening to the radio. He heard housing dropped another 15%. He's ecstatic for it." And I said, Aaron, I said, which radio station were you listening to? Because this is not happening in our local market,
Yeah.
right? It's not happening here. We're seeing multiple bids. We're seeing prices driven up. And I sent them case studies. I said, look at the houses that we were looking at. Like, see where they're closing at. Like, they're closing above list price.
Yeah.
But, I think when people are getting misinformation, right, it's kind of hard to, you know, bring them back,
For
so
sure. I think here the price points are different, but the market is similar. There's a lack of inventory. There was a lack of inventory,
yeah,
and the people that are on market, what I'm seeing is no one's looking at this. This isn't a typical days on market scenario where you're on market for 35 days, something must be going on, you should be negotiable. It's
Yeah.
more like, I'm on market because a lot of people can't come see the home. I'll just
Yeah.
wait. They're
Yeah.
not really negotiating price a whole lot, which is good for the market, not necessarily for the buyer market, but overall, right? Because then my value is not dropping either because the
Yeah.
values of homes aren't dropping. So appraisals are coming in okay, purchases are happening, in the same type of ballpark that they were happening before. Like you said, some are going over or right at ask, and the others are within 1 to 5% of ask.
Yeah. I think it's crazy that those statistics are probably right in line with ours. It's just, you know, I think it's because it's driven because we're having such lack of inventory that I think it's just going to keep the value strong, right?
Hmm.
Because you can't you can't submit an offer below list price because another buyer is going to come in and offer a lot more, and so I don't think I don't see housing coming down anytime soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be my expectation. The
yeah,
one thing that I can't plan for is a real unemployment number once people start coming back to work.
yeah,
you know, because obviously tons of people were laid off, furloughed, whatever. And so if those numbers don't get back to some sort of normalization sometime in May,
yeah.
then that could have an impact because then there won't be enough buyers. Even
Sure.
with a lack of inventory, I guess you start to invert that chart. But
Yeah,
otherwise, there's no indication that that's the case
yeah,
as far as, buyer's market on the, verge.
sure. Yeah,
So it's interesting, and it's obviously something that it doesn't matter how old or how long you've been in the industry, you've never witnessed this. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
shutdowns because of a health crisis and concerns, and you know, like you said, like you're going in houses. I'm gonna take a guess that 6 weeks ago you didn't go to houses with Lysol and wipes and masks.
No, no. Um, even yeah, even after a couple weeks ago, we were just not showing. We were showing up with gloves. I mean, with masks and the Lysol and the wipes. But now people are saying you got to bring the booties, the gloves, everything, right? But it's hard because so you have to mix and match because you can't even get your hands on all the equipment that you need,
Right.
right? They save
Yep.
life. It's just if you're going to require hand sanitizer, I'm sorry, I don't have access to any, right? And so, but I still have my Clorox wipes. I have the gloves, you know, and we have a good supply of masks, so I don't see it being a problem yet.
Hmm.
Obviously, if this continues and we keep doing a lot of showings, I'm going to have to find some more supply somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a topic even earlier today, by one of our local, realtor boards was when New York realized what was happening, they bought every mask possible. Like, is anybody working with any group to get us masks?
yeah,
Because there's this assumption that people have them, but
yeah,
that is not a fair assumption.
yeah,
I mean, um, even as someone who's making masks, they can only, I mean, they're not making them in a factory. So they're
yeah,
only making a few of them a day.
yeah,
So if we really all need them, we
yeah,
don't all have them,
yeah,
and then like I've had like surgical masks. So those are not really reusable.
yeah,
Um, I might decide to reuse one if I go to like two grocery stores in the same day.
yeah,
But then when I get home, that thing's got to go in the trash for
yeah,
it to be effective.
yeah,
So I had a box of five. Now I have a box of two. If I start showing houses, I have
yeah,
a box of none. I and then giving them to my clients, right? Like that's the real thing.
yeah,
Cloth mask is fine, allegedly,
yeah,
and I'll wear it.
yeah,
But I can't give you a cloth mask. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going
yeah,
to carry around a cloth mask in my car and then give it
yeah,
to a client. It's
yeah,
not safe, you
yeah,
know. So there's definitely that concern, and I don't really even want to complain about it because I know that the people in the hospital are lacking the equipment first, and that's a
right,
lot more important that they have them than
yeah,
you and I.
yeah.
So it's really a
So
tricky scenario.
it is, and so we're just trying to navigate it and work around it, and come up with ways to keep everyone safe, and like I said, just stay active, and just it's a great time to reach out to clients, and they're all being pretty receptive, even the ones that probably like we would consider cold leads, right? That dropped off 8 months ago. I've been able to reconnect with a few of them, and it's just been really good. I think it's because through this whole thing, what I realized is when I'm reaching out to past clients and people and connecting on a personal level, like we don't even talk about real estate, but then they always swing it back. They always swing it back to the real estate market.
Yeah.
Like, hey, by the way, it must be really hard for you right now, right? Or something like that. And they kind of bring it back to real estate. They bring it back to work, and then I'm able to just have a little short conversation with them about, actually, no, it's been actually really busy for me, and I've been really blessed to help, right? So and so many clients, and then they go, oh, really? I didn't know you can actually show. And then, I'm able to speak with them a little bit and stuff like that and educate them and, kind of, you know, bring them back, right? And put them on a warmer status. So
Yeah.
it's been good.
So outside of like real estate, I mean, what have you guys done in California regarding rules or regulations? I mean, I know like theaters and everything are kind of closed.
Everything's closed, but it's trippy. Like I was telling you, like I got this raccoon burn, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. So I went on I mean, I'll say I went on a date yesterday. So we decided we were going to go up to Laguna Beach because I heard it was open in a certain place. But as we're driving up PCH, which is Pacific Coast Highway, I guess they were having a tough time keeping everybody off the beaches, right? But the city went and they just blocked off from like the sidewalk all the way up, right? And they're blocking off everything, all the private access ways and stuff like that. But we head up to Laguna Beach and we see all these people walking towards this one little beach that's open. And I was like, oh my God, they're open. So we were able to get on the beach. Everyone's just playing like it's a normal day at the beach. No one has masks on. Lifeguards on duty. So lifeguards on duty, and the city has two cars parked there, making sure that people are staying off the rocks and stuff like that. It was a total trip. Um, but I think there's South Orange. There's South Orange County. They're by the beach, so is it the community out there? It could be, right?
Sure.
No one was walking with masks out there. Like no one. There was nobody wearing masks out there.
Yeah.
And everyone looked healthy. In my community, there's a big divide. I know tomorrow, I just got to notice that the city, we have about 58 miles of hiking trails in my city.
Okay.
They shut them down about 3 weeks ago. They're going to reopen them tomorrow, and keep an eye on that. Up till 3 weeks ago, I mean, high school kids, they were playing at the park. They were playing basketball. They were playing football. They were playing soccer. And then you see the neighbors start complaining online and then calling the city. And so the city had to do something about it. So they started chaining up all the parks and the basketball rims. And then the kids were still playing on them. So they had to
Yeah.
finally remove the rims off the basketball courts. And, so the kids were still being active. So I think, the grocery stores for a while were just crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now it's calmed down. Everything's restocked except for like toilet paper and like Clorox bleach items. Um, so it's been interesting. It's been interesting to see the divide between the community, between those who are fear driven and those who are not fear driven, and those who are just being cautious and not cautious, right? And so it's been interesting, kind of seeing the divide happen, seeing the arguments online, and so I stay away from it all. But it's just funny to me,
Yeah.
like people are arguing about this stuff. It's
Oh yeah.
like where do you have this energy and time? And I realize, okay, everyone's just sitting at home, so they're going to argue about it. But
No, you're right. And I sometimes I get a little sucked in, but I try
yeah,
not to. And I am pretty active with just Facebook posts,
yeah,
anyways.
yeah,
Whether they're business or not.
yeah,
And I've deleted so many because I'm like, what's going to happen is like 50 people are going to say, like F you, and 50 people
yeah,
are going to say right on. And
yeah,
I'm not trying to poke any bears, to be
yeah,
honest. Just,
yeah,
pointing something out basically.
yeah, yeah,
And it happened again, so like what happened here was a couple weeks ago when they extended the stay home, they said like landscapers can't work, garden centers have to close, big box stores need to rope off areas that are non-essential, like gardening and mulch and stuff like that, and we can't go to our second homes and all this stuff. And people lost their mind,
Yeah.
and rightfully or wrongfully, it just happened. And
Yeah.
so once the people lost their mind that they couldn't do it, then the other side lost their mind, being mad that those guys lost. And it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and it's continued, and then it happened again, of course, because basically we extended into May 15th now.
Yeah.
But we took those things back, so you can go
Yeah.
back to your second home. You can go out on a boat. You can do all those things that you weren't able to do for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And again, it's like it's just constant, man.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes it's entertaining, but sometimes I go,
Yeah. I
you
just
guys
don't
are,
engage, man.
yeah,
I stay away. But it's just, like I said, we're in a small office. But I'm cautious. Like I said, my team members, they're on lockdown, they're on self quarantine. I totally get it. I'm not even gonna ask them to show a house or anything like that.
sure,
But this is family here, so I mean, we hear each other like every day, and so
yeah,
and we're being safe. And when I leave, we put the mask on. I adhere to like all the rules and regulations and stuff like that. But when we're here together, like even though we're working in the office,
yeah.
like not wearing our mask, which we're supposed to do, but it's just the three of us in a temporary office space. So so we're kind of doing what we got to do, but it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, is there word or rumor around when things might reopen, or like a scalability or anything like that?
I haven't heard anything, and like I don't really, I haven't been plugged in because Governor Newsom, it keeps changing. Things keep changing all the time, right? The dates keep getting pushed back and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of waiting. I'm just kind of waiting for the market to reopen. I have a feeling California, Michigan, probably New York, are probably going to be the later states to reopen just because we're more densely populated, right? And I think those states are probably going to be released the latest, where they completely open up everything. Um, but
Well, I don't know if I should share this anymore. You might make some people really mad,
yeah.
like, this guy thinks that we shouldn't be open. So
No, I'm saying the states are not. I don't think the states. I think we should be open. Like,
yeah,
and even with my that comment, people are thinking I'm crazy, right? So look, you can't. We're not going to please everybody.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm messing
I'm
with
actively working, but I know people need to get back to work, man. And the loans are tapped out. I know they reopened up a second round of funding, but
you. Yeah,
that's only going to get people so far. And I'm constantly talking to local business owners. I'm like, how's business? Like, how are you hanging in there, right? The local coffee shops, and I'm trying to always help out, but I can't eat out all the time.
yeah,
And I'm not, I can't stop by every restaurant in town, right? And
right.
but I'm constantly talking to them. I have my digital mayor series, so I'm plugged into the community, and they're starting to see more business pick up. I think they're seeing like people just can't stay home anymore, right? And we're
Yeah,
starting to like up to 2 weeks ago, man, I was driving the freeways. It's like the Autobahn out here. Like
yeah,
people are going like 110, 120 miles an hour. And if you're not going that fast, you're going to get slammed into, right? The average speed, I think, was like 90. And you don't see a cop in sight. So
yeah.
everyone's crazy. And so, but yesterday, there was traffic on the freeway. I
Mm,
had to come to a complete stop like, it was like afternoon traffic,
yeah.
right?
It's like
And
normal.
so I see a lot more cars on the freeways. I
Yeah,
see a lot more cars on the local streets. So I think people are coming out a little bit more and more and more, and kind of testing the waters, right? It's kind of like after a storm hits, there's those people that are already out there, and then those people that like kind of
yeah,
peek out and they're like, oh, there's people out there,
yeah,
right? And the world is moving, and so they kind of want to be a part of it, and so they're kind of just slowly coming out. It feels like,
yeah. No, I think it's the same here, and I think we're even more stir crazy because our weather fluctuates.
yeah,
It was 72 one day, it was 38 another day. It
that's
was
crazy.
raining one day, we had sleet and like a little bit of snow another day.
Yeah.
Like nothing that's sticking on the ground, but nobody wants to see snow in April, not even
No,
Michiganders. So like
we're a little hot, dude. We're at 97 degrees today.
that is crazy.
It's hot.
Yeah,
And we're stuck in here with the AC on, but I mean, I'm not complaining. But
I
I
got
mean,
the heat
it's
on
hot.
70, and it says we are 58 right now, but it was 49 a little earlier. So
Wow.
Yeah. So
So
like as soon as the weather's nice, we're outside, man. Like we're
yeah,
and the same thing, like so like my kids' school, we go and pick up a packet once a week to bring home, and then
okay,
there's online and then a little bit of the packet.
yeah,
It's like I realized when they came with me to pick up their packets is the first time they've left our house other than riding bikes. First
wow,
time they left our house since March uh 15th.
wow, it's gonna be hard. All
Yeah.
the kids young,
10 and 7.
yeah,
10 and 7. And, you know, I guess fortunately they're both boys so they can kind of play together.
yeah,
But, they're tired of it.
yeah,
It's like, I mean, you can't really play with friends.
yeah,
The oldest was kind of riding his bike a little bit with some
yeah,
people, but I think that kind of stopped too because, they don't, they stay apart for a while, but then the next thing you know, there's like six bikes and they're all like this together,
yeah,
talking and they're exchanging drinks again. And it's
yeah.
like, we can't do this. So, it's tough, but I mean, it's like one of those things. It's like it's tough, but God, it could be way worse, right? Um,
Exactly.
so, and everyone has that perspective, and even as parents, um, I try to be a little bit more flexible with
Yeah,
maybe some of the electronics time.
yeah,
Some of them wrestling with each other. Normally, we'd cut that off right away, and I'm like, what else are they gonna do?
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
So, yeah, it's been tough for sure. Doing those things, but you know, we get through it.
yeah, for sure.
So, what do you see business looking like for the rest of this year? I mean, we obviously have no idea how long this is going to last, but it hasn't slowed down, and we don't think it's really going to. Do you see
Yeah.
business staying level, going up, down just a bit? What do you
Yeah,
think?
and I think business is gonna pick up a little bit during the summer months. I think people are gonna start, like I said, start peeking their heads out a little bit more. Um, and I think they're gonna. And the thing is, it's the same. I think overall business is gonna pick up. Now, how much of that share I pick up is depends on how active I was. I believe right now in this market, like how much I've been like marketing and doing my calls and staying in touch with clients and just giving out as much information as I possibly can. And you
Do you
know,
find marketing maybe hard in some ways, like, or is it? I mean, I'm not sure what your all of your marketing normally looks like, but do you find like any kind of like braggadocious marketing really difficult to do right now? Even if you want to pat, yourself and your client on the back for selling in a day or something like that, you're like, is this
we
really what's
usually don't do that. It's just we usually congratulate our buyers and sellers. You know, uh, like I never advertise numbers. I never advertise, hey, I did this many sales. This is how many. We never do that here. And that's just part of my culture, I think.
yeah.
Just, hey, we were able to help. Here's their story. Hey, look, this client was going through a hard time, like, and stuff like that. Um, most of the marketing we're still doing is we're just letting people know about the houses on the market, right? We're using like the whole chime, like the IDX and the Google and integrating everything, and it's been working great. I mean,
Hmm.
because everyone's online, right?
Yeah.
You've got to take advantage of it. Like the Facebook ads, I mean, they're killing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's just you can get in front of so much more people with a limited budget, and so we ramped up our budget actually, and so we're getting in front of a lot more people, and we're getting a lot more traction on our ads and a lot more leads. Um, and everyone we call, it has been really responsive, and so and everyone's just curious. They're like, "Hey, man, I want to buy, but is it a good time?"
Yeah.
Right? So I have the conversation. I'm like, "It's a good time to buy, but it really depends on why you need to buy, right? And if it's
Sure.
not a good fit, I let them know, hey, look, it doesn't seem like it's a good fit for you because if you're looking for a great deal and trying to lowball an offer, like when
Yeah.
they tell me, I'm like, it's not a good time for you because
Yep.
it's you're not going to get it, right? And
Yep.
so things like that, and just being able to educate and stuff like that. I think business is, business. I think it's going to stay strong, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I,
So
I I agree, and I've kind of put out some other content about, that same type of thing, and especially trying to compare it to, the 2008, 2006 through 10 really here in Michigan,
yeah,
but 2008 crisis and just the big differences
yeah,
between inventory, house price inflation, lack of equity, so much
yeah,
stuff that was different then than now, and why even if something did happen, it wouldn't be like that
Yeah,
because of all these other reasons.
exactly.
Obviously I trust my crystal ball, my magic 8 ball and all that stuff, but
Yeah,
you got to use data, and that's the data that we have. And we know that that was a unique circumstance, and that,
hmm
you know, I think we had a shortage of inventory. So a lot of markets here were somewhere around 3 to maybe 8 weeks. It really depended on which price point and city and stuff like that. Um, and so, but even those areas that had 8 weeks, you still saw lots of homes going multiple offers in a
yeah,
short period of time. Probably what we started to see most was, it was like if a house hit the market, we didn't have it come off market in a day. It
uh
seemed like it took 5 to 7 days, and then there were 3 offers, 6 offers, whatever. It was
yeah,
kind of like people weren't just jumping in and going like, "Oh, I saw a house."
yeah,
Maybe more educated, or more, slow paced or whatever it was. But that was really what we were seeing prior to this. And as we enter the summer market, which is huge in Michigan, because that's when people are obviously changing for schools and jobs, and they can move out of the cities that they're in into another
yeah,
city and stuff. I think it's going to stay pretty consistent,
yeah,
um, unless things really make a turn for the worse when it comes to health. You know,
yeah.
but other than that, and that, so far so good. As far as that's concerned.
It's good.
What else? What else do you do to stay busy?
Man, just just hang out with family. I mean, I try to stay active. I run a little bit. I cook. I love to cook.
Yeah,
So it's been hard because, well, now it's easier. But I mean, when the grocery stores were just short on everything, right? Really couldn't do much. But that's about it, man. I live, breathe, and just trying to grow my brokerage. Honestly, it's like because this is my third year in, and with this whole crisis, it's like I'm trying to pivot, and
yeah,
I'm trying to pivot and get ready for when the market does reopen and my office is ready to go. I'm trying to, and so we're here constantly working on. And if I'm working on a file with a client, we're working on our marketing, we're working on our systems, right? So I can start recruiting and start setting up my agents on systems and trying to figure out what systems are best suited for just what my philosophy and everything that aligns with my brokerage.
yeah,
So just testing different strategies and plans and getting ready, man. So it's literally working 10 to 12 hours a day, and then going home, relaxing a little bit, eating, hanging out with family, and then just it's pretty much normal.
yeah. Did
Yeah,
did you get a
I don't
lot
have
of?
kids or I'm not married either, so I
Yeah,
don't. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so you kind of maybe sort of have that time. I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know if anyone really has the time, to be honest. So,
yeah.
um, do you did you get a lot of support when you decided to do your own thing and go out on your own, or was the people that you were around, like real estate wise, like, maybe mad or non-supportive, or thought you're
No,
crazy?
everyone was happy because everyone knew it was coming. Because what happened was in '03, I got into business. I got into business when the market was just like everyone was
Yeah,
becoming a real estate agent. And I did my first 3 deals. I only got into the business to help my family. After that, when it was business, it was coming time. Man, it was really difficult dealing with agents. It was just a lot of manipulation, a lot of lying, backstabbing, trying to get deals, and like people were giving away like gift cards, had to buy like refrigerators right for their client. There was a lot of cash coming. I saw all the legal stuff, man, between the lenders and the brokers. I
yeah,
saw the cash exchanging hands, and I was like, man, like what is this, right? And so it stressed me out to the point. Like I've always been an entrepreneur since 21, had my own business, so I left real estate. I was like, I don't want to be part of it. I was led back into real estate 4 years ago, and I decided at that moment, if I'm going to come back, I'm going to come back right. If I have to make a difference in one person's life, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to get my broker's license and eventually open up my own shop, and make sure that agents that work for me or that work under me are going to do it correctly and ethically and morally, and do it and have a passion, right? And so that's why. And so when I opened it up, I had my broker was sad that I left,
sure,
right? Because I was helping a lot of agents in the office by showing them what I was learning, right? Even pre-curator, I knew it was social media. And
yeah,
so constantly doing like a lot of different stuff than other brokers were doing. So when I opened with a big shop. People thought I was crazy, but I had a vision. But everyone's market is so different, so it's so hard to compare. And so, I my biggest competitor, if you want to call him that. I mean, I refer to everyone in my business as my peers.
Hmm.
They're not my competition, but if you want to call them my competition, it's to help you sell. Right? They were in the same plaza as me.
Right.
Right? They enlist at 1%. Right? They were listing at 1% before Redfin was listing at 1%. Right? And so they do a ton of listings, right? Because they've been in the city for like, I want to say like 20, over 20 years. He's been here as a broker, right? And so everyone knows him, and everyone knows you're going to get a discount when you list with him, right? And then there's Keller Williams with like 500 agents, and then there's Remax with like 300 agents, and then there's Park Group Real Estate, right, with 3 agents. But dude, I mean, I'm doing great. Taking good market share, and I think people, when they realize and they hear my story and they see how passionate I am and how involved I am in the process and how much I give back to the community, I think they constant source of referral and stuff like that, and just building out this office right now. People are starting to see the vision of why I started on my own, why I did what I did, why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm so passionate about giving back to the community.
Yeah.
They're starting to see it, and so they're starting to see the vision. And when I tell my past clients, they're like, "Dude, what are you doing here?" And I tell them what I'm building out. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for it."
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's like, "I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it." And so, um, fortunately, a grand opening is supposed to happen soon, but we slowed down a little bit on the construction, so we're a couple weeks out. So we'll probably be working in there during this whole crisis and not be able to do a grand opening. But as soon as they lift the ban, it's going to be ready for the community to come to celebrate and just to hang out. Like I'm ready for when they say, "Hey, look, I'm going to be like, hey, everyone, come here. Let's have a barbecue in my office,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the congregate here, and then you guys could just hang out and eat good food and talk real estate or talk whatever, right?
Yeah.
And just come out and hang out." So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to want to see that follow up. Uh,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm sure you'll have some videos and stuff up, but and then maybe even a follow up interview and stuff because the goal right now is I'm just trying to get in touch with as many people in many markets as I can,
Yeah,
just to understand more about your market, especially now because we've got
yeah,
such craziness. But the long term is obviously to just keep in touch with
yeah,
what's going on out there because here in Michigan, a lot of people hate to admit it, but whatever happens in California is going to happen here. You
yeah,
know, if your market's on fire, our market's on fire. If
yeah,
your market crashes, so will ours. We're
yeah,
just behind. You
yeah,
know, if something's a hot design, it's going to be a hot design here eventually.
yeah,
Except maybe a
for
beachfront
sure.
home because we don't have a lot of beaches. We got a lot of lakes, just not a lot of beaches.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but and so I love the fact that you're right there, kind of like outside of LA. Like right where a lot is happening, and
yep,
we can relate, right? Like I said, like I don't know exactly where you're at, but I know where you're at. You
yeah,
know,
for sure.
um, and and whereas like sometimes you hear certain markets and you're like, I don't really know where that is.
Yeah,
So so yeah, so it's exciting. I'm really excited, for you. I hope that
thank you.
this thing kicks off, the way it's supposed to, and you
Yeah,
have the opportunity to have your grand opening for
for
sure.
sure, for sure.
Where what's your Instagram or YouTube or whatever, so we can see some more about you and your market and stuff like that.
Instagram is at Park Group RE. Right? Yeah, Park Group RE. YouTube channel, just look up Park Group Real Estate.
Okay.
We have a YouTube channel there with all our videos. Um, Facebook is the Park Group, and personally, just Samuel Park. You'll find me there in Chino Hills. Yeah,
Cool, man. Well, unless you've got something for us that I missed or whatever, I really appreciate the time. I hope.
appreciate what you're doing, man. You're doing a good thing. We'll stay
Yeah,
in touch. We'll do another follow up interview once this thing comes to an end, man.
yeah, for sure. It's
Uh,
hopefully sooner rather than later.
exactly.
All right, man. Have a
All
good
right.
one, and hey, one last cheers to go.
Yeah.
Coffee and beer. Have a good one.